I'm going to show you how to take your factory turn signals from this to this. And even with this feature. So, which one do you think looks the best? Stick around, I'll show you how to make it. Alright, so this should work for, I'm assuming, 70 to 81 Camaros and possibly Firebirds, because I believe that all the lenses are done the same way. There's no actual adhesive inside of here that glues the back and the front together. They're sonic welded, so they kind of heat both sides up and then it cures together and creates a nice seal. There's a little bit of a gamble to this, that you don't crack the lens when you separate it. I think this is a really cool mod. So these are really cool lights. They have several functions. Now these are from, the strips are from Diode Dynamics. The light itself is actually a factory light. These are the HD 12-inch strips. That's important, so remember that. This is the adhesive I used to glue the lens back on. Now, these lights have several functions. As you can see, it comes with a bunch of wiring. This little box is the brain of it all. You can cut this wiring down. It doesn't have to be this long, but they do give you plenty to work with. Now, this is the lowest power mode. It has a, they call it a brake light mode. So you have parking light, you have brake light, and you have a turn signal mode that if you notice, it dims out after a few seconds, but they're pretty impressive. Now let's jump in and show you how to make yours just as cool. Alright, so you want to take it off the car, get everything off the bracket off. You just want to pop this little trim ring off. Now, on these lights, you'll notice there's kind of like a seam, a little groove around it. It's not very big. Now, if you look, this one is good and tight on this side. This side here actually comes apart a little bit. So, what you're going to do is you're going to try to get the screwdriver inside of this little groove right here. And it's just going to pry it real easy. And the idea is you'll work yourself around the lens until you throw your screwdriver. You're going to work your way around the lens, just slowly prying. It's going to make some awful noises. Take your time and please do not rush this. If you rush this, there's a good chance you're going to break your lens and then you're going to have to find a new light. And I don't want you to have to do that because of me. So, like I said, it's going to make some scary noises. You just kind of take your time and go around it. Alright, so originally I was going to do like I did the first light, and I was just going to pry with a screwdriver down that edge. Well, that has decided not to work. So, if I'm going to make the video, I might as well try another idea on how to do this. So, we're breaking out the hacksaw. Now, if you notice in here, there's that little wide dark tab right there, a small one here. You don't want to cut through that because that helps locate where the lens goes. As you can see, it didn't want to actually break, it just wanted to chew up. This is actually working pretty good. I don't know if you can see it or not. It's taking out just a little bit, but not a whole lot. Alright, so that did not quite go as planned, but that's okay because we've learned something else. So we now have our two pieces, as you can see. So I started originally trying to pry it off with a screwdriver. It worked. It works really good. I mean, it truly does. But sometimes you just get them where they're really stuck down. All this area was so stuck down I couldn't get it. I did chip the corner, but that's okay because the same way I was going to glue the lens back on, I glue that little chip back in place. Won't be a big deal. So the lens is off and it's not broke. That's the main thing. Anything past that, we can glue or clean up or anything like that. So the only difference in how I did the last one was it just had the lip that stuck out the side. But either way, Usually popping it apart works great, but if you have new lenses, you can just take a Dremel or something and just cut straight flat like this, and you'll be able to get the same effect with new lenses. So let's hop in. So the next thing I gotta do is, let's see if I can get you here. So now I need to take down this area here and here, get this little shelf up in here, this little flat spot. I want to take out these to where they're flush with it, and then I'm going to chew this lip here down with it. So this one, these two will all get chewed down flat so that I can lay a piece of plastic inside of there, and that's what we're going to mount the strips to. Alright, so I took this edge and this edge to where it is kind of valleyed. It doesn't have to be real pretty. The whole idea of leaving a little bit down is so that your wires can run through that little groove. You can chew it down some more if you want to, but at first I'm not going to go any farther than I have to. You shouldn't really have to smooth these edges up right here where it's not completely flat, but you can. I'll probably still take some sandpaper and kind of hit it, but just as a rough end, I also cut this down here to where it's roughly flat with this way. Now let me get my plastic part and I'll show you what you need next. So you're going to want to get a piece of plastic. I'm using an old light bar lens, and you're going to set this flush on top of it like this, and you're going to trace it out. Okay, you're going to cut that out into the shape of this. Alright, so now that you have your piece of plastic, let's trim down to where it'll fit inside of here nicely. Just like that. You ready for the next step? So the reason why I bought a 12-inch strip is if you look on the back of this, if I can ever get to zoom in on them, it has these little, see these little dots right here? All these little spots, the AWG. Well, if you notice down here, the yellow wire goes to WA, I don't know if I can get it or not, and then the black wire goes to the G. So you got ground, you got AW. So when you order these, you need two 60-inch strips. Now the problem with it, buying just a 60-inch strip is a lot of the times you cannot trim an LED strip, or you just kill part of the strip. These you can trim down to 20%. So say this was a 10-inch strip, you could cut 2 inches off of it, it would still work fine. If you cut anything past that, it'll overheat and burn up. So you have 20% that you can cut off of this. Now I asked them about this and they told me that this would not work, but as you can see on my other light, it does. So instead of paying for two 6-inch strips to trim down, I bought one 12-inch to cut in half and then trim down. So basically what I'm going to do, I'm going to find 50% of this strip, I'm going to cut it. No big deal, just clip, gone. Now what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to do some wiring, because I'm going to have to take the wire from here and put a jumper to the other strip. That way the load on the module is the same and the strip will still work. If you don't do that, it ain't gonna work. Right on that line, right where I need it. It's gonna be cutters just like this. Alright, so now we have two strips, which are still a little bit long, but a lot better. So if you were to power this strip here right now, you'd burn it up. You will not make it. You have to have both strips wired together for this to work. So right now these strips are still way too long. If you look, they hang off that far. So that's still quite a bit of overlap for this to work. So unfortunately you are going to cut off the little mounting ears. So we're going to have to get a little bit creative with that. But basically, you're going to pick an end and you're going to clip it right off. Now, don't go by this. I went by this. So, and it may help you to have this piece in there just to have somewhere to sit. Let's see again. Hold it. And it's cut. So as you can see, now this one sets, it sets in place. Nice tight fit. That'll look good. So now we gotta get the other one to match this. Ringer. Alright, so first things first, I need to get this wire connection here unhooked. Now on the other light, I actually cut from this end and not the other end. I don't have the best solder setup here by any means, but I do what I got too. I can work with what I got, but definitely be nice if I had smells like quad hands or something like that would help you out. But anyways, so we need to tin these wires. So just had to put a little bit of solder on the soldering iron. And just let it kind of go down the wire like that. Like that. So now the wires have solder. You go back to your strips here. Move this out of the way. I have a little gap over here on this end, so that's where I'm going to put this side here. So it's going to sit just like this in here. So you see the two lines right here and here. So I want to pick, ideally, one of my little wire pads that are between that. So I like this one right here. So I'm going to solder my wires to this part. Now I'm just going to try to push it against the G there. With the wire this small, it gets hot quick. Alright, so once you get, it's a little bit of a fight, but once you get the two soldered to each one, the next thing you got to do is you have to run your jumper wires over from one strip to the other one. So just like this. Have two over, and that's what's going to power it. And then we're going to notch the plastic. We're going to notch this out to accommodate the wires going through. So trying to get your wires pretty much in this area here, because you do have the cubby hole to work with. So let's try to get these soldered on real quick and we'll go from there. Alright, so essentially this is what you end up with. You have your power wire coming in here, a jumper from here to here. So now it's the moment of truth. Have I completely butchered this strip? Bada bing. There we go. If you need two 6-inch strips, buy the 12-inch, cut it in half, and it will work. So, on to the next part. See, I got these little silver boxes kind of colored out. So on those silver boxes, let me back up a little bit. If you set your strip in place, you can see that the wires kind of line up. You're going to notch around the wires where those silver boxes are. You're going to do it on both sides. So one has two connections. 1, 2. One of them has one connection. So you just have to have it on one. I'm just going to use a cutoff wheel. Just like I did these. Just straight cuts going down. I'm going to do straight cuts in these little boxes. So be back. Alright, so once you get the notches cut in the plastic, it'll basically look something like this. Now I did spray paint this kind of just white on the back side and just give it kind of a solid layer here so you couldn't see the wire through it. When you're wiring, or your wires, I apologize, on the wires, you basically just want to make sure that everything's good and soldered, and then go ahead and put some double-sided tape on each side. On my first one I put in the middle, it's a pain, don't worry about it, but just put the double-sided tape on both ends, where you'll have something good to stick to. And then basically you're just going to take it, and it's a little tricky when you do actually stick them down, but your wires will slip through it like this, and so you'll have a little bit of slack to play with. You'll have to line the strips up before you actually stick them down, and the top side will basically look like this. So you're going to stick these on, and you should be, that should hold them fine. If you want to, you can take some of this, it's beading wire. Now the Diode Dynamics don't tell you what size. This is 24 gauge. It'll fit right through these little bitty, I don't even really even see them, these little bitty ears right here. This will fit right through it. So if you take like a soldering iron and put a little ball of solder on the end of it, you can cut them about this long, just drop it through there, and you can take like a, I've been using a safety pin and using a torch and heating the safety pin up, and then just pushing it through the plastic to make a hole, and then feed the wire through here through the plastic and just bend it over, and that just gives it another extra safeguard so it doesn't fall off. So that's another option, but on the first one I held it in with just the double-sided tape and it worked great. So let's go ahead and get that done now. Not a bad idea to make sure that it fits inside the housing before you fully seat the strip, but as you can see, it fits and looks pretty good. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these things seated down real quick, and then we'll go to the next step. Alright, so here, basically the four edges, here, 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 and here, and the little curved part right there. I just used a paint stick and some 180 grit and sanded it really good. What I'm going to do to attach this part, I'm going to use some JB Weld plastic bonder. I know for some reason I had the video earlier where it flipped the other way where you could read it right. Now it's backwards. I don't know. So anyways, JB Weld, it does do pretty good. It takes a little bit of time, so you either have to clamp it or sit there and hold it. And I hold it usually, and it sucks, but I don't know of another good way to do it. So it's two-part to fight that cap off, and then see if I can get you down here so you can see what's going on, where the action's at. So you just kind of squeeze a little bit in the container. Comes out pre-measured. That's a nice part. It just, there you go. That's more than enough. And like I said, you can use this on several different projects because it don't take a whole lot. So you got your little tray. So what you want to do, if you notice it's in two colors, it's kind of hard to see, but two colors, stir it until it becomes one solid color. And you got a little bit of time to work, so don't take forever. Don't take your, necessarily take your time, but once everything turns a nice, normal solid color, what I do is I take a little bit of it like this and just kind of brush it on here. In there, just like that. Carefully, without necessarily making too big of a mess. I'm gonna feed your wire through without getting it in all that nasty gunk. Now once this is in here, it's go time. So you're gonna situate it and get it where you want it to be at. So now basically you can, if you have clamps, clamp it. If you don't, hope you get some free time because you're going to sit there and hold it. Alright, so now that the strips are pretty much glued in, they have a little bit more to go, but they're pretty good. Now I already went ahead and glued this back together where I first originally tried to pry and it came off and then it finally started to break, so we used the hacksaw to cut it. Good news is if you have a newer set of these, you now know you can take a hacksaw and cut it and it will work. So I went ahead and glued this back down. So now the game plan is to put a very thin bead of our acrylic glue around the outside of this. Use the tabs on the lens to locate, to line this back up. Press it on, let it dry, and then if there is any kind of gaps where things were kind of hectic and we went a little crazy there for a minute cutting it off, worst case you can either put another coat of that around it afterwards, or you can always get just a little bit of a sealant and go around it. But either way, you should be in good shape. And then as far as the hole where your wires come through, I was going to get a 3/4 inch grommet, just pop it in the hole, pull the wires to the center of it. That's going to be watertight and be in good shape. So I'm going to put a little bit of this in a cap for a water bottle because I don't want to. I've learned that this stuff comes out pretty heavy, and I'm not sure I'm ready to have this much of it everywhere. If you watch, it's very quick to pour out of there. And I'm telling you, the last one I did, I about overdid it with it. So I'm going to try to do this a little bit differently. This is how I glued that lens on earlier. So the idea is that you can take a screwdriver and just run a bead down. It takes a little bit of time, but I feel like you'll get a better result if you just take the couple minutes to do it by hand. Alright, so now we're just going to line up the top and bottom section of the lenses. So this is a 5-minute waiting game here. So basically I'm going to sit here for 5 minutes and stare at this thing until it's good and dry. So I'll catch you in a few. Alright, so it's been a couple days since I glued everything together. I used the acrylic glue to attach this part back to the white, and I used the acrylic glue to glue it back to the lens itself. But if you look, I went ahead and put some 2-part epoxy just on the edge afterwards. So I just kind of lightly sanded it with like 180 grit, and then just put a little bit of 2-part epoxy and just kind of wiped it thin around the edges. So honestly, it looks pretty good. I'm pretty impressed. As bad as it was looking there for a few minutes, I'm pretty happy with it. Again, just a quick little grommet and some sealant. Seal that hole up. It should be in good shape. Alright, here's the final product. This is how I made my LED side markers for my Camaro. I hope that this kind of gives you an idea of how to do it and what it takes. You might be able to find a different way than I did, but hopefully this helps you if you're wanting to try to do this for your car. You can use any kind of strips. These are Diode Dynamics HD, the little eBay cheap LED marker lights. They're just going to barely light up. These are insanely bright. So I hope this helps. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, just hit me up. If you like the video, like and comment. I'll see you guys back at the shop. See ya.